Hello, everybody, all loyal Patreons. Welcome to the Nitty Gritty Dirt Show. I am here with the great Billy Botti, and we are going to cover what is happening in the world of pro wrestling slash sports entertainment slash underground fighting. Billy, what's going on, my friend?
Where do we start, Vince? We did a lot of business stuff last week. Some of the numbers were surprising to you. I got the impression.
Oh my God, I used your numbers all week long, Billy. I quoted you. Some of them were very surprising. Billy, let's start with, because I know it's on your docket. Let's start with some.
Can I just correct one error, because I don't want to. I don't want to have make any.
Absolutely.
Okay, one error I picked up on. Somebody pointed out to me. One of my sources, actually, who watches your show, who's checking up I'm saying things correctly. Where's the mistake? Okay, mistake last week. The USA Network statistic that I gave was 2 years old. The average number for the shows on the USA Network now is 1.23. So 1.5 is still above average. The number I quoted of 1.52, or did I quote 1.66?
1.6. I think it was the 1.6 number.
Okay, 1.66 is 2017. 1.52 is 2018, and the latest number is 1.23.
Okay, so I will correct that. Okay, I'm glad that you said that, Billy. That's great. Nobody does that. That right alone, guys, is telling you what kind of a guy Billy is.
But they still also did drop to the number 2 show. They got overtaken by Crisley.
Oh my God, are you serious, bro?
Crisley has a 2.1 average.
Oh my God.
And it's the most popular show on the USA Network in the key demographic of 18 to 49 on TV and across digital metrics.
Oh my God, Crisley is out drawing Raw. Bro, Billy, that's great that you did that. I love that you did that, guys. That shows you what a kind of guy Billy is, and I will make the correction when I talk to Glenn.
I mean, it's still not good, but it's above
it's good. No, absolutely, it's not
average,
good.
and it has dropped its. I mean, it's still a very expensive show for the number that it pulls up. And
I would love to know, bro. I would love to know if Crisley is now the number 1 show. I would love to know the price they're paying for Crisley compared to the WWE. That I would like to know.
Well, Crisley does a 2.1, and Raw has consistently done over 2.1 most years. So all years, in fact, except this one. So, which is ironic, because when we're about to talk about this year financially, it tells a very, very different story. So we'll get into that.
Billy, let's start with Summerslam, man, because I think, last week, man, your insights about that possibly being in Saudi was very, very interesting to me and made a lot of sense. So let's
not SummerSlam, the Rumble.
The Rumble. But let's start with SummerSlam, bro. What's the latest you're hearing with this?
Okay, let me look into my notes here. All right, so at the moment, they are going to run SummerSlam outdoors. I actually emailed you in the week. So I know this story now is starting to get out over the weekend, because me and Vince do the show on Wednesday. It comes out Saturday. But I actually emailed Vince last Saturday, I believe, when I heard that they had finalized a deal. I don't know exactly where it is, but they do have a deal. And my source is saying to me that it's most likely going to be in New Jersey, because if they want to run it with crowds, New Jersey are the only ones with official guidelines for an event. He cannot find any other guidelines for any other outdoor event. And New Jersey have actually put these restrictions in place, or not restrictions in terms of, I mean, everybody else is more restricted because they don't even have a quota. At least New Jersey have a quota, and New Jersey's quota is 25 person inside with social distancing, 500 outside with social distancing. So I would say that when this location is revealed, it's going to end up being New Jersey. At the moment, they're just ironing out their own kinks and things in terms of what they're doing with that. But New Jersey is the place that I've been told.
Wow, so it could be almost like maybe a boardwalk thing, maybe an Atlantic City thing. Maybe it could be something like that. I mean, 500 people, that's a nice little crowd. That would look good on TV, bro.
Well, that's going to be with masks, social distancing, all of that stuff. But that is the only place. They are definitely running it in that area. They are running it in the Northwest market 100% because that's where Vince wanted to go. He wanted to take it outside of Florida and run it into the not the Northwest, the Northeast. Yeah. He wanted to run it in the Northeast market, which is the information that I have. And they're looking at places at the moment. They were supposed to make an announcement yesterday, but TV was so chaotic, which tells me that the chaos either overran it or they haven't actually finalized where they want to go. But according to the people that I'm talking to, that is really looking like the only viable option because they're the only ones that even have any guidelines as to how they would even do an event. Everybody else is just like, we haven't even got a clue how we even start this. We don't even have a high or low or anything.
But Billy, they are promoting a date, right? There is a date, right?
Yeah, it's the 23rd, isn't it, SummerSlam? Sunday the 23rd?
Okay, I think so. Yeah, because I know they're promoting a date on TV.
But there's also Payback the week after. There's a Payback pay-per-view the following week. There's another pay-per-view on the WWE Network 1 week after SummerSlam.
Now, why is that?
I have no idea. My understanding is that Bruce Pritchard is throwing a lot of shit at the wall, which we saw from the TV this week. And one of the ideas is almost so this is the take. It's interesting you asked me, because I only spoke about this on my own show or my website, so this is exclusive. I asked about this too, because I asked because Drew, I was speaking to Drew about it, and he asked me, he goes, I don't know what that means. I said, I'm asking you because my sources said to me that when Bruce did something to wrestle with, one of the most asked questions that he ever got, and one of the most curiosity factors is, why did you run Tuesday in Texas?
I swear to God, I was just thinking about that, bro, because that was, to me, the only successful time they ever did anything like that. This is exactly what I was thinking about when you were talking. So go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So apparently Pritchard has said that the biggest curiosity factor of the entire time he did his podcast was the curiosity behind Tuesday in Texas. Obviously, there was some other things which he didn't answer. The number one is always going to be, did Randy Savage sleep with Stephanie, which he didn't answer. But I think that's the big number one curiosity question in wrestling. Randy Savage, did he sleep with Stephanie? I don't know. But do you ever hear about that? Like, you've heard that rumor, right?
Oh yeah, and I've heard that rumor. But bro, I swear to God, like I didn't hear that rumor till after I was out of the WWE. I swear to God, I was working there for 5 years. I was working with Savage, and I hadn't even heard that rumor.
You know, Jim Cornette said exactly the same thing to me in terms of he didn't hear about that until after he left the company. He said it wasn't talking about inside at all. But yeah, so getting back to my point, one of the number one curiosity questions is, why did they do that? No, it's the charger for the laptop.
Oh, that's
thanks. Sorry. So that was the number one curiosity question, and I think that's why they're doing it. In addition to that, we're seeing little fingerprints of things that went over well on something to wrestle with, such as the start of SmackDown this week, where Bruce is very, very high on Saturday night's main event.
That was horrible. That was effing horrible. After I watched all those talking heads say nothing, I didn't want to watch the show. I literally, it did the opposite of what it was supposed to do. They did like I think it was 8 talking heads in a row. None of them said anything. It took about 11 minutes, bro. When that was over, I didn't even want to watch the show. That's horrible.
This is the lack of understanding that they have. You cannot just toss nostalgia at the wall for nostalgia's sake, because just because we remember something doesn't mean that it works with this current group of wrestlers. We remember that Demolition had their character, and Hogan had his promo, and Warrior had his promo, and everybody was a character. I have all the action figures of everybody behind me. From
yes.
$1 Million Man to Iron Sheik to all these guys cut a unique promo.
Yep.
The women from one woman to another do not cut a unique promo. So when you're seeing people come in at the start and they're doing their shtick, they don't have a shtick now. They are all just just like they're just all cookie cutters.
Cookie cutters. No, bro, I swear to God. And bro, I like her, but bro, I swear to God, if anybody goes back and watches that on SmackDown, like Lacey Evans said absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I'm sitting through talking head after talking head, talking head. And I swear to God, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, do I really got to watch this show? And it's exactly what Billy said. Man, when you got the Warrior on there, you're tight on his face, you got the makeup, they got the lighting, he's cutting that promo. Then from there, we go to Piper. Piper's got different lighting. Piper's right there. We get a totally different promo. We go to Mr. Perfect, totally different promo. Savage, totally different promo. Not when you've got vanilla 8 times in a row. Nobody gives a shit, bro. Awful.
And also trying to force in their catchphrases and all of these scripted lines where you have to say this and you have to say that and you have to say Claymore Country, which is still one of the ones that I hate the most, because for me it's the most out of character one, and it's somebody that I am attached to. So every time Drew says Claymore Country or Orton says the 3 most dangerous letters and all of that shit that you've got to shoehorn in, all these guys, they used to cut their own promo and then they would get their quote in at the end, whether it be a woo or what you gonna do, brother, or oh yeah, dig it. Like they had a thing at the end, but they cut a legitimate unscripted promo, which is actually, I don't want to go too sidetracked here, but actually this week, one of the things that we saw on TV and what we've seen in recent times is that Ric Flair refuses to be scripted. There is actually stuff that's written for him, and now it's at the point where they were concerned about it, but he did a good promo with the Big Show, and now from this week, Flair is one of the people that are going off script. And
so you're an idiot if you think you're going to script Ric Flair. You're just an idiot. You're a freaking moron. Guys, I was a producer for many, 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 many years. Some people need producing. Some people don't. You're an idiot to think you're going to produce Ric Flair, bro.
Well, I think that's one of the good things that Pritchard did was that he has convinced the company that some people can talk for themselves, and this is one of the things that he professed on his show again, and it's come through onto the TV, where some people are talking to them. Some people are still heavily scripted, but some people are allowed to talk for themselves. We've seen certain things with Christian, Big Show, Ric Flair, Drew, Orton. So these people are being allowed to talk more for themselves, which is why I think I'm not saying Raw gets a thumbs up for this week, but we did see some better promos, and we saw some better promos on the road to WrestleMania as well, where some of these guys were allowed to do that. So this is a philosophy that's been shared.
That's good.
The two things that both Heyman and Pritchard both subscribed to was to let people talk a little bit more off bullets. The bullets are still there, which they need to hit, and Vince McMahon still wants to hit his catchphrases, but more or less everything is improving on the promo front, and I think in terms of them being allowed to do that. Certain guys I don't think can pull it off, because Seth Rollins is a guy who's a big waffler and doesn't seem to get to the point very well. But I think he has the same license as well.
Yeah. What else is going on, Billy? Well, tell me about the call now.
Okay, this is a long one. Do you want me to finish up on the creative stuff and then we can end with go.
That's fine. What do you think? Yep.
The other thing's going to be so long. So the plan at the moment. So this is an interesting one. A lot of people are talking about Alexa Bliss and is she Sister Abigail and all that kind of stuff. Bray Wyatt doesn't have creative control, but he has some control over his character in terms of, in Bray's mind, the origin story of the Bray Wyatt character and the Fiend character and all of that is quite important to them. And he will regularly point out inconsistencies to the point where now everything that they want to do with him, whether it be making Alexa Bliss Sister Abigail or whatever, will always run through Bray. And if Bray no-knows anything because it doesn't fit with the story or any inconsistencies from the past, it doesn't happen. This guy knows all of his own story. He knows the story of his character, and he knows when something isn't consistent with what's going to move forward. So in terms of Sister Abigail being Alexa Bliss, that can't happen because Sister Abigail's body was burnt underneath the Wyatt compound, which Randy Orton set on fire, which Bray pointed out to them. Therefore, there is no way that Alexa Bliss can have any attachment to the Wyatt family, at least in that capacity. And Bray knows everything. It's in his own head.
That's awesome.
It's been said to me that he almost has a comic book outlook on it, and he knows where the character where he knows at least where he wants it to come from and where it evolves into, where he wants it to go. But any kind of massive detours from that, he will bring them up on it, despite not having creative control. But he's able to at least fight for that side. That's
great to know, Billy. That's great insight. That is great to know, and I believe every word of that. And
staying on Bray, the plan is for when Fiend reholds the championship, that through the winter he's likely to go through the New Day as singles people. So the New Day are not going to be returning as a tag team for the rest of the year. They're going to keep them as singles, and they think that they can heat up Big E and then reheat up Kofi in order to go for this championship over the winter and hold our interest with the rating that they're at. I don't see that. I mean, especially when he didn't have Big E go over. He went over Miz, but he didn't go over strong.
Yeah.
If you are building him up for a world title challenge, and that's the spot that you see for him, then you put him over in a few minutes against the Miz, or you start him off lower and have him just run through guys and almost be Goldberg-like. That's not what I saw. I saw him selling to the Miz for 70% of the match and then winning. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not somebody that over focuses on who sold and who did this, but when the match, what I do know from a very base, I know that he sold because I know wrestling. But what a casual fan sees is that Big E took 20 minutes to beat the Miz. He doesn't really look at who sold the leg and who did what and what kind of comeback he made and all of this geeky mark shit that people put too much emphasis on. All a casual's looking at is that Big E took 20 minutes to beat the Miz. That's not a superstar who can challenge for the title.
Right. Yep. I agree 100%.
But that is at the moment the plan in terms of at least having an increase in babyface creation on SmackDown in order to transition over to this new champion that they're going to go with. I personally think, I don't know this for a fact, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this feud is dragged out longer because they haven't created those baby faces. And that also brings us full circle onto what the payback thing may be, because I sent Drew a text, and he wouldn't answer this anyway because he's very much loyal to the company, even though I'm a friend of his. I said to him that, are you involved in any kind of contentious finish? Because the reasoning for this pay-per-view is because Pritchard loves Tuesday in Texas. And he said to me, I don't know. I don't think so. So he may know, but he didn't tell me. And if I did know, I couldn't come here and say it anyways. But
I swear to God, bro, there's no way ever they will be able to mirror Tuesday in Texas, because that was a big deal. That revolved around Hogan and Taker, right? From what I remember.
Hogan losing the belt to Taker. Then
I mean, that was huge back then. They don't have anything close to that right now.
That had a double main event. Do you remember the other half of that? What the big draw was?
God.
Do you remember the story? It was really good. One of the best.
What was it?
Okay, so Randy Savage had been reinstated, and then Jake had the snake bite him. So he couldn't be in a Survivor Series team. So what they did is they cleverly said he's not going to be back in time for Survivor Series because of the snake bite, but he will be back for Tuesday in Texas. So they didn't have them face off in the 8-man tag. They took them both out of the match and had them face in a singles match, which could have been the main event anyway. Plus, then with the contentious finish in Hogan and Undertaker, you had 2 matches there that people were dying out for. I'd be surprised if Payback has one match that people are desperate.
Yeah, they won't. They'll have no match. I could tell you that right now. I mean, if you're going to compare that to Tuesday, and forget about it. I remember Tuesday in Texas. I mean, my God, how long ago was it? And I freaking remember it, man. And I remembered, at the time I had to see it. I remember that. Now they're nowhere close to anything that you've got to see. Nothing.
Well, this actually follows on from when I came on here and I said that. Do you remember when I first reported that some people have told me that they have 2 pay-per-view dates booked in their schedule?
Yes, you did. Yes.
And I said to you that it looks it looks like SummerSlam's going across 2 weeks.
Yep.
Well, it's not. It's 2 different pay-per-views.
Yep.
That's what's been finalized. So
You said that weeks ago.
sometimes I don't know everything exactly as it is at the beginning, but I know the gist, and then this is how we put the pieces together. So I knew way back then from their schedules that there were 2 dates blocked in because they received the email in terms of where they need to be and when, and this was a date that was blocked down. A lot of the guys saw that and didn't understand why they were in, and there was speculation that eventually the men would be cancelled and this would turn into a women's pay-per-view instead, and the men would maybe just attend. Some men would just attend as attendees for support and whatnot, but no, that's not happening. So it's
Good.
2 pay.
All right. So what now? The business?
Yeah, let's do the business. That takes care of all the kind of story stuff and whatnot. So, wow, this is mad stuff here. The WWE just reported their biggest quarter in history, and now they're in line for the biggest annual profit that they've ever made. This comes from the quarter hour, the quarterly conference that they just did, and listen to this growth. They are now making $55 million from TV per quarter. They are paid between Fox and USA Network $112.5 million. Do you know how much they used to make before the pandemic from TV after their expenses?
How much?
17 million. So they would spend out of that 100, they would get 112, and they would be left with maths is not good here.
95 million.
Yeah, that's right. 95 million. So they would spend basically 95 million doing the TV. That factors in the wages, the budget to go live, the equipment, the hotels, everything involved. They would spend that, but they would make a $17 million profit per quarter from the TV rights deal overall from these television shows, which obviously equates over the course of the year to
68. 1734. Yeah, 68 million.
Yeah, 68 million. Now they make 55 million per quarter. They keep all of that money. So the plan moving forward, which is something that I said last quarter, and it was one of the first stories that we broke in. You found it very interesting in terms of how they may not go back to a live event business at all. One of the other things I reported alongside that is that they might not even go back to a live setting of Raw. So we may just see pay-per-views as live events that are aired, because Raw is very, very likely at this point to be in a studio or a theme park or something that they own or can regularly use every week and have their stuff set up there, much like TNA did at a certain point with Universal. I just cannot see any way forward where this company decide, and knowing the people involved, that they are going to go back to making $17 million per quarter when they are currently making 55. So if you don't like the current climate, then you need to acclimatize yourself to it, because the Performance Center or something like the Performance Center is going to be something that we're looking at moving forward. But obviously with a lot more fans involved, they're going to try and get the 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 people in there. But I don't see how this company moves forward without having ownership of a regular place to shoot their TV, because Vince, is he going to, this is the number that's keeping them away from having to explain their ratings. This is the big, big positive. This company found a way to make an extra $32 million every 3 months. Like, why are they then going to just go back to the arena setting and do things the way they used to do, just for nostalgic reasons, just because it's more eye-pleasing to the fans? I think they're happier sitting at a 1.7 to 2 million and having a few people turned off and continuing to make this money. That's what I think they'll do, but I don't know anything for sure.
Man, that's unbelievable, bro. I mean, you're talking about $38 million per quarter.
32.
No, 17 from 55 is 38.
Sorry, you're right. Yeah.
So you multiply that by 4, bro. What are we looking at? We're looking at 2 carry to 3, $152 million over a year. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just by production cost.
Yeah, production costs, hotel,
Yeah.
travel, what the rest of
Wow.
the wrestlers get paid, just the general. And the thing is some of this cuts has come down just to not having house shows at all because they were operating at a loss. And this is even more interesting. On January the 30th, WWE announced that co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson had been fired.
Right.
They then employed Frank A. Riddick III, who was appointed as the interim chief financial officer. There's a press release where Vince cited that both Barrios and Wilson were sacked as they had views on how to best achieve, as they had different views on how to best achieve our strategic priorities moving forward. This guy, Riddick, has come in and he very much he must be respected by the company because he's come in at a starting salary of $1.6 million per year to do his job. Instantly, he's increased the WWE Network numbers to the point where they haven't been for about 3 years. And he's involved and he's credited a lot for this massively profitable quarter that they're having. So one of the things that he's done is in terms of implementing his strategy for the network, no free month, no tiered system anymore. That's scrapped. And multi-device capability has been cancelled. So instead, what was happening before, according to Frank A. Riddick, is that people were signing up with fake emails for the free month and then cancelling and signing and cancelling. And this is his impression of wrestling fans, and he may be right. They were signing up, cancelling, signing up, cancelling, signing up, cancelling. And then he believes that people were sharing their password. Now, I can't watch WWE Network on my phone and Austin watching it on his phone, sitting next to each other with the same account. Cannot be done, Vince. This guy changed it all. And this resulted in certain people upgrading to the network. However, the knock-on effect, according to my sources, would be that getting the network for free or finding a way to get the network for free was meaning that people continue to watch Raw for free. And I think now that because people have decided, oh yeah, I used to get it for free, I don't anymore. It was a good run while it lasted. Maybe I'll just cut loose and drop the whole thing altogether, because that is a part of what is happening. Because some people who were getting the network for free and were constantly subscribing to the free month or finding ways to watch WWE Network who are no longer involved in it may now have just decided to completely stop watching the product altogether. But financially, because TV numbers are not able to be measured like that, you cannot bring a statistic in terms of who was stealing the network and who was put off WWE entirely when they were unable to steal the network moving forward, be it through 3 months or passwords. You can't measure that, but it's obviously going to be some people that said, if I can't watch the pay-per-views, if I can't watch the conclusion of this, I'm not going to watch it at all. There's going to be some people, that's obvious. But you cannot measure that metric at all. But what you can see is that the network numbers have gone up because people have decided that if I can't get it for free, I do like it enough to start paying for it. So they have had more hours consumed in the last quarter than in their history. And also their number is up to a point where it's high as it's been for 3 years, at around about just above 1.7. So this guy's earning his $1.6 million a year in terms of what it looks like in the numbers. But, and I'll let you address that in a minute. Actually, address it now because this next bit's interesting.
I'm taking down these notes, Billy, because I love these little. This is the shit that's important that you don't get. This is what you don't get. You get freaking Meltzer rating, freaking fake fights. This is the stuff that you don't get. No, bro, I'm sitting here concerned because, Billy, for years, I've been using somebody else's account because I will not pay the WWE a dime for that shit. So you mean to tell me if this person decides to watch the pay-per-view and I'm trying to use that same account somewhere else, I'm not going to be able to do it?
No, he can log you out. But I mean, that's the thing. Oh, it's in terms of once I don't know how it works. I'm going to have to try it myself because I know this is a thing, the system that's implemented. So if I'm already watching and someone else logs in, I'm going to have to see what happens in terms of log out. I'm not sure how exactly that will end up working. But yeah, I mean, I've been in places before where I've noticed in the last few days where when we've tried to watch network downstairs on the big TV, and I've tried to watch it on my small TV. So there's Apple TV downstairs here, and there's a PlayStation here in my room, which has a smaller TV. The TV in my room is 47, downstairs is 65. So when I try and watch it in bed and I'm trying to watch stuff for my podcast, etc., it asks me to log back in because the downstairs one is logged in already. So it is a thing that is coming through. But
Wow.
here's a more interesting thing. Everything is up. Network up. Money up. The financial status of this company has never ever been better, and they're going to make a record profit. They're making record profits every quarter, and they're going to have a record year. This is going to be the most profitable year in the history of WWE. When you think about Hogan, Austin, WrestleMania 3, Vince Russo in the Attitude Era, all of that good stuff, 2020 is going to be the most profitable year in the history of this company in terms of revenue and profits. And after announcing that, the stock only went up 3%, which is ridiculous because that would be the most ringing endorsement. That's because the follow-up questions from the experts did not buy into what this means long term, and that's because of the TV numbers. And all of the questions were about how are you going to address this rating, what's going on with the rating, which is where Vince gave all the generic answers about people consuming things through different ways and trying to sidestep onto their social media metrics, etc., and also blaming the pandemic and how people don't particularly like to digest wrestling without crowds, and almost guaranteeing that they would return exactly back to where they were within a few months. And where they were is a very acceptable number when you look at the state of cable at the moment and the amount of people that are coming off cable. So he was grilled about the ratings, and that shows you that these people that deal in these things, that know all about stocks and shares and companies and things of that nature, they didn't look at this increase and all of these records and say, that's it, this is a perfect company to buy into, everything is perfect. They didn't say that at all. So the concerns are there moving forward because this TV deal is the thing that makes this company profitable. That $112.5 million that they get in every quarter, that is most of WWE's revenue. And without that, or without renewing that near enough the same, it's going to change the complete landscape of this company. They need those deals, which means they need ratings. So whatever records you want to tout and however much praise you want to throw onto I've forgotten his name here, Frank A. Riddick, it doesn't mean that the problems are solved.
That's very, very, very interesting. That all makes sense to me now, Billy. Yeah, I mean, my God, $152 million a year added revenue because the show is coming from the Performance Center.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, there's they also cited within that call, which is very interesting. And I got this from the source in terms of what they use in terms of how their TV's being digested. So a company called Parrot Analytics basically told these shareholders, or they used the statistics from Parrot Analytics to tell them that WWE was 48.7% higher approval rating than other shows in America, than the average show in America. And Parrot Analytics backed this up by saying that they found that the audience demand for WWE Monday Night Raw is 48.7 times the demand of the average TV series in the United States in coming into that quarter. For that quarter, he said 0.2% of all shows in this market have that level of demand. This is what they told them. And this is how it works, because this is my own research now. The demand distribution curve illustrates a TV show's popularity compared to the demand benchmark, which is the measure of the average demand across the titles. The curve is divided into performance buckets ranging from below average to exceptional. A show falls into one of these performance buckets depending on how many times more or less demand it has compared to the demand benchmark. The show's performance is market specific. E.g., the same show can be the average range in the United States and a good range in France. as an example, if a show has 9 times more demand than the demand benchmark, it falls into the outstanding performance range. Only 2.7% of shows, of all shows in this market, reach that level of demand. This is what they've told them. So this is the company that they're using. It's called Parrot Analytics, and they're the ones that they're using to let them know what their social media.
But what you're saying is there is a demand for the show in that genre. Under the wrestling umbrella, there is a 48% demand for Raw. That's what you're saying. Not of all shows. Under the wrestling umbrella, under that category.
It's what other category it falls under, but wrestling isn't a category. That's the thing. It will fall under sports or entertainment. So that's where I think it falls under. I'm looking here if there's any other information as to where it falls under. Doesn't say. Could just be entertainment as a whole. I'll find out about that next week, because what you're saying may be valid, but I think I'll need to look into that, because that's what I was giving. So the main part of the story was not exactly what the data is, but the fact is they use this company to do their research, and this kind of dictates to them whether they did a good show or a bad show, or how the show was received alongside with the ratings. So they're kind of saying, yeah, the ratings may be down, but everybody that watches it loves it. Like, they love it more than 48% of the other stuff that they watch in the week. They love it more.
I don't doubt that for a second. All the wrestling marks are the only ones watching the show.
Yeah, but it's almost reached a point where I've done a podcast for years where I've come up with ideas, and I said they should have done this and they should have done that and they should have done this and they should have done that, and this is what I would have done. It's come to a lesser extent where I even have the energy to even bother. Like, and I'm not somebody that's even. I mean, you've been there, done that, got the T-shirt, wrote the book about being in creative. I haven't had that kind of experience, and it's always something that I wanted to do. I always, deep down, always wanted to go and work for Vince for 6 months or a year to see what it would be like. But
6 months.
I'm running out of the energy to even bother to coming up with the stuff, because I just feel like they're never, ever going to get this audience back. And I almost feel like it's even beyond my reach. Like 4 or 5 years ago, I may have had the ideas. And also I was younger 4 or 5 years ago. And maybe I had the ideas in terms of how to get them back, or how to keep my son watching, or I know my own son and I know younger people because I worked as a club promoter. And for a lot of times as I was growing older, the 18 to 21 year olds kept coming in, and I never felt like I was the old man who was out of touch. But I almost feel like I don't know. I don't really have many ideas.
Oh, you're not the old man that's out of touch. They're the old men that are out of touch. Bro, the world has passed them by.
But what I'm saying is that whether it be me, you, or the most creative person that comes in from Hollywood, I don't know if any 35-year-old has now got the capability to bring these people back. I think they might be too far gone.
Yes, I agree.
In terms of being able to, because it's demoralizing for me as somebody that's always wanted to do this and say, and always there's a lot of fans like me who think, oh, if I had 10 minutes with Vince, I could change Raw. I know I'm not the only one who thinks that, but like a lot of guys probably do. And they obviously they don't know Vince McMahon very well, but that's the thing. Like that's dying inside me now. I don't think that I could have that conversation. And I don't think the next week or even a month down the line, I could have the number. I don't think I could get them to a 2 or a 2.5. I don't even know if you can. Like, I just honestly feel like these people might be gone for good. And he's telling investors that we will want, when he's saying everything's good. And then the question he's getting, what about the ratings? What about the ratings? And he's saying to him for the second call in a row, they will come back when the fans come back. I don't understand how. I don't understand.
They won't, bro. They're all using that as a crutch. They're all saying that as a crutch. They're not going to come back, bro. The fans in the arena or at the performance center or wherever have nothing to do with people being more engaged in the show. Nothing. Zero.
Have you ever watched?
Bro, you know what? Let me compare it to this, Billy. I had heard from a very reliable source that Pritchard was using as an excuse 70% of our roster is being infected by COVID. So he was basically saying we do not have access to 70% of our roster. That number contains people that are affected or people that don't want to come to work. Okay, that's what Pritchett said, 75%. Okay, bro, but this is the same argument. Okay, bro, you don't have 70%, but you have 30%. And with that 30% of your roster, the show still sucks, bro. And it's got nothing to do with who the 30% is.
Vince,
the show still sucks because your creative sucks. Your creative is outdated. It's campy. It's stupid. It's going to be the same stupid, campy, outdated content when fans come back. It's going to have no bearing on it whatsoever, bro. None. Zero.
Yeah, that's I don't know.
I watch baseball. I don't give a shit if there's fans or not. It has no bearing on me watching baseball. I could give a shit if there are 50,000 people in the stadium or none. I'm attracted to the game. The game is what's attracting me, not there are fans at the game.
The 70% number isn't true at all.
I know it's not.
In addition to that, this is a company with all of these profits that had an edict to get rid of under 100 people because they wanted to get rid of as close to 100 as they can, but didn't actually want to fire 100 because of the negative publicity that would go along with firing over 100 people. But they did go as close to the mark as they did. So they went between 90 and 100 of people that they let go. And that is never mentioned. All that's mentioned is the 10, 15, 20 guys that are let go from the roster and the people that were originally furloughed. Well, those people haven't got their jobs back. Plus, there were tons of people that were cut from the office. Only Vince McMahon now goes to that office every day. And he goes back and forth between where he's staying in Florida and to Stanford. So he's the only person in the building.
I'm assuming Bruce moved to Stanford, didn't he?
I have no idea where Bruce is. I would imagine he's in Florida. Because we wouldn't need him in Stanford.
Yeah.
But those calls where I spoke about this last week, and it's always the funniest thing to me. Those calls where they book TV and they do the conference calls and stuff, those all go on at the weekend. I mean, this product that you see is all designed at the weekend. And off the back of the conference call, the big call that was made this weekend is we got to bring back Shane. We got to get Shane in. That was determined at the weekend. We got to get Shane back to move the number this weekend. Shane will work. And then, as I said on the YouTube show, how long is it going to be before Brother Love comes in and they think he's going to do something because he had an audience with the podcast show, which seems to be, I keep talking about it, but I keep having it mentioned to me in terms of this worked on a podcast and people like this on a podcast and this seems about the podcast. Vince McMahon is putting a lot of weight into a podcast that he believes that 18 to 49-year-old men listen to, and that if stuff that they did from the past is replicated on this television product, that people are going to come swarming back. It just doesn't work that way. And people are not going to come back to watch a Saturday night's main event intro. And the thing is, I don't think people, as I just touched on, this point is irrelevant because I don't think people are going to come back at all. And the thing I was going to ask you is, have you ever been in a position where you watched and loved a TV show, but you watched it 1 or 2 seasons too long? Jumping the Shark, it's called.
Billy, let me tell you, what you're saying is dead on. Let me tell you why, bro. And the problem with the WWE is magnified 1,000,000 times over. Okay, Billy, I went to WCW. I was there for 3 months. Okay. We raised the rating point by like a 1.0. Like, I think I started at 2.5, and like after 3 months, we were at 3.5. So in 3 months, bro, we raised the rating 1 point. Okay. Well, Billy, politics happened and and I went home. Okay. In my 3-month absence, they went right back down to a 2.4. Okay, bro. So, bro, we went from a 2.4 to a 3.5 in 3 months. In the next 3 months, they went from 3.5 back to 2.4. Bro, when they called me back, Billy, I knew we lost the audience. I knew we were not getting the audience back. I knew we had them. I knew we were building something. But the last 3 months when they went in the other direction, I knew, game over, bro. We're not getting those people back. Now, bro, you've got to multiply that with the WWE for over the last 20 years. Bro, they've been losing those people year by year by year by year. We're now 20 years in. Those people are gone. You're never getting them back. Bro, you know how you get it back? You know how you get wrestling back, bro? There's only one way to get it back. There's only one way to get the number where it used to be. You know what that is, bro?
Go on.
Make it real. If wrestling were real, people would watch.
When did you and Bischoff, do you know the date when you and Bischoff did that did the New Blood Revolution story?
Oh God, bro, we did let's see, I saw October, November, January, February, March. April 10th, maybe, bro. April 10th.
I thought so. Because April 10th, the rating jumps to a 3.1, and you were bought in when it got down to a 1.8 on the 27th of March.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 4th of April, the 3rd of April. The 3rd of April, it got down to 1.8. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tagged you in a tweet on, this is my Twitter account here, by the way, guys. I tagged you in a tweet this week where it was a screen grab of the ratings just before you moved over from WWE to WCW. And it was
crazy.
Sunday Night Heat was out during Nitro, but Sunday Night Heat had a 5.1 by the time you left. I mean, that was,
bro. It's like, bro, bro, perfect example. If they would have taken that lucha, that Raw Underground, and they would have been doing that for real, they would have paid guys come in here and fight for freaking real. But they didn't do that, bro. They had guys fake fighting on a mat with no ropes. Bro, I'm telling you, that is the only thing that could ever get wrestling back with all this flip-flop and flying. My thing is, bro, you guys are so great. You guys are so good. You guys want to do death-defying acts? Bro, go out there and wrestle for real. What is stopping you from going out there and wrestling for real if you're that tough that you could jump on a pile of 20 guys? Go do it for freaking real. Other than that, bro, nothing's ever going to bring the business back, ever. It's dead. It's dead. It's done.
It's dead because there's so much other stuff to consume. And the whole concept of people setting up fake fights and resolving them in a ring and stuff is passe in terms of there was always going to be a point where, you know, it worked for years when people thought it was real, and then we had the element of Hogan. But the thing is that even these peaks of the business, in terms of looking at Hogan and then the down period, and then they did something very different with Austin in terms of then targeting it towards this audience, and then they tried to keep that going for too long, and then they had their evolution with Cena, which wasn't an upturn, but it was just a period where they held a respectable number. But the thing is that what is there to see? What is revolutionary about men fake talking, having bad panto script, and then turning it into a fake fight? There has to be an evolution as to what this becomes next. And
that's what we were doing at TNA, bro. That's exactly what we were doing at TNA in 2002. It was all improvised.
Did you see a quote this week from AJ about you and Dixie? Did you? Yeah. I emailed it to you. Okay.
Yeah. It was all improv, bro. We were improving it. Those guys did not know I was going out to the ring. They didn't know I was in the state of freaking Tennessee. They didn't know. And I just went out to the ring, and they had to naturally react to me and the situation. That was the evolution of wrestling, bro. Improv. They went the other way with it. They instead of doing improv, they went to over scripting it to the point of everybody is talking like a 74-year-old man. Bro, maybe this would work if it were Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Maybe it would draw a number at Saturday morning, 11 o'clock. Primetime TV, it's dead, bro. Forget it. Dead.
You even now need to, I think, evolve the business into completely and utterly kiddifying it so that it's so kiddie that 18-year-olds can't even watch it. But the kids are saying, oh, you've got to watch this, and maybe it's new to them. You've got to completely kiddify it.
Kiddie or real. Kiddie or real, bro. That's it. Kiddie or real. Yep.
They really are your only options in terms of how you, and it's weird because, as I said, we're entering into conversation off the back of the biggest number that they've ever done and all these kind of things. But the future, I think, in a nutshell, where I'm going with all this is that I think, in my opinion, and what could happen is it looks like they're making this company as valuable as possible and
streamline. They're streamlining everything, bro. That's what they're doing. You're exactly right, Billy. Yes.
In terms of looking for a sale, because Vince McMahon's and Paul Levesque and all their guys' vision of wrestling needs to change, and somebody needs to come in and change what wrestling is. If it does go to Disney, for example, they will implement the kiddification, or the kiddie, if that's even a word. But you know what I'm saying. They will inject it with what it will need and promote it to the right type of. We might not watch, but it will continue to exist as something that's fresh and new, rather than what it's evolving into now. Because now it does cater to. Old man Meltzer turned around this week and he said that he really enjoyed SmackDown. That SmackDown was a better show this week because of all the better wrestling, and there was more wrestling on it and all that kind of stuff. This is the problem, because these are the journalists that control the narrative, and they're turning around and saying more wrestling is better and this is what it needs to be. And you've got all this all these backflips onto one guy backflipping onto 8 people over at AEW, and they're turning around and, one guy hits his finisher and the other guy comes off the floor and drop kicks him in, and they both lie down, and then the crowd applaud because show me where that happens in real life. Tell me when in a situation where people are involved in a confrontation. Have you ever been outside on the streets and someone's tried to start a fight with you and you turn around and went, hey, nobody starts a riot like me? This is not in any Billy,
bro, you could break it down to simply this. I mean, bro, when I was working for an independent company here, Rocky Mountain Pro, I changed the rules. And one of the rules was you cannot jump to the outside of the ring. Billy, think about what professional wrestling was. You must pin your opponent in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. So you've got to have your opponent in the ring to win the match. He's got to be in the ring to win the match. Why are you jumping on people outside of the ring? You can't win the match outside of the ring. So why are you doing that? You would be doing the complete opposite, keeping your opponent in the ring so you can pin him and win the match. That's the only way you could win. They've gone completely away from the concept of wrestling, which is pin your opponent. Because if that was truly the goal, why are you jumping to the outside of the ring where you can't win the match there? That's how far away they are away from the freaking basic fundamentals, bro.
And people always give shit to Steve Austin where they say that he's a dinosaur, and he's always moaning about how the DDT became a transitional hold and all that kind of stuff. I mean, when Jake Snake Roberts hit the DDT, you were dead. That was an angle. If he hit you with the DDT, that was an angle. That. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, everything evolves, and we did introduce chairs, and we had Bowley coming off the Hell in a Cell, and sometimes there's no going back from certain things, but the next evolution is not to make it look even faker. The evolution of it isn't to dance and look as ballerina-like and as hokey as you possibly can, because AEW I'd be really embarrassed to call myself a fan of that show in particular had somebody come in and watched it. With WWE, I've got the origin of it and turn around and say, oh, I watched this when this was the thing I watched with Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin. This is always the line. This is always the go-to line. This is the thing that The Rock did. So like that now makes it a little bit more okay, because WWE will at least always be the thing that The Rock did, and everybody knows that. So if The Rock did it, maybe it's not so uncool, but obviously we don't want to catch it on karaoke contests and things of that nature. But AEW with the whole no selling and the flippity flops and the transgender guy and
no
all that
characters, zero characters, not one character on that show. Zero.
No, it's just a case of he's small. He's really small with that Marco Stunt, who shouldn't be in wrestling, and he's really big. And then all of a sudden, when MJF goes on there and he cuts that promo, it's all of a sudden the best promo of the week. And even Alvarez and Meltzer are going, and that was the promo of the year and all that. You know why it's a promo of the year? Because it's a good promo, but it's better when it's surrounded by acres of shit all over it. It's going to stick out like a diamond. That's what diamond in the rough means. And MJF's promo, it's like the CM Punk pipe bomb when business was at that point where it was, and it was really dull. It was a really good promo, but if you go back and watch it back, he didn't like say anything like massively scathing. It was just out of the tone for the time. And when someone comes in and they do something, and it brings it all back to that point, lowering the bar of expectation. And now we're like, when I was watching SmackDown with Austin after we had to endure that 2-hour show that Meltzer said was good, he came alive when The Fiend came out and did that. And they're trying to like cure you with boredom and then bring you up with one exciting. That a new booking philosophy, and it will bore you to death. And then when something happens, you'll hold it in the highest regard possible, which is what Austin did, because it worked with a 9-year-old kid, because he's watched that little bit with The Fiend about 3 or 4 times this week, and he showed his mum, and his mum watched it and was like, what's so good about this? It's like, well, you don't understand how much boredom we had to endure before this guy came along.
Bro, you're dead freaking on. You're dead. Bro, I just did this show with Stevie and Bim this week, and I said there were 2 things that stuck out in the 5 hours. One was The Fiend, and then what was the thing on Raw? There was something. 2 things stood out. 2 things in 5 hours. 5 hours. The very end of SmackDown, and when Rollins was going after Todd Phillips and Joe interjected.
Right.
So that was like, bro, those were the only 2 moments in 5 hours. 5 hours. So when you really look at the time between The Fiend and between the Joe business with Seth, bro, you're literally looking at 5 minutes out of 5 hours. That was it. Like the rest of the stuff, you could have not seen any of it. Unfreaking believable. But you're right, bro. The bar's been so freaking lowered. It's unbelievable.
And it's been lowered to the point where, because he's my son and I know he likes The Fiend, and I know we were sitting there and we watch it on Saturday morning. We're having our breakfast and we've had to endure this 2 hours or hour and a half after you fast forward through the commercials, etc. And I knew that he was going to be happy with this, and to see him come up brings me up, because it's brought some happiness to him. But the fact is that what we're happy about is a very sort of standard event that they could have put in 10 years ago. This is in the middle of the show.
Bro, that's it. Exactly. All you have to do, one simple question. I want Bruce Pritchard to answer one simple question for me. One question, Bruce. When I watched the scene with The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, you know what I'm asking Bruce Pritchard?
What's next?
Why can't the whole show be like this? You tell me, Bruce, why can't the entire show be like this scene? Why? I just don't know why. Why?
Are you also asking what's next in terms of where do you think that even goes? Like, do you think they have any direction to where that goes, or is that just done for the sake of it? That's what we were debating on our show.
Yeah. And you know what the truth is? The truth is, bro, I could do 5 minutes. I can't do 2. I'm not capable of giving you that for 2 hours. That's the truth. I am not talented enough to give you that 5-minute scene over the duration of the show. I am not qualified to do that. That is the freaking answer. Period. End of story. That's it.
And just to finish up, because we're running long, but just an important point as well, to always reference this one thing. Hulk Hogan claims that he was willing to do jobs for anybody as long as it made sense. Austin said the same thing as well. I don't know. You've worked with the guys. Maybe that's not true. But he always said that he didn't mind doing the jobs, but he would always ask the question, where's it going, brother? Like,
he did.
Where's it going? So that is a question that these wrestlers are not asking. And they wouldn't get the answer if they did ask.
Yep.
In any story in this company, not one story is going on where if you replace anybody with Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan says, where's it going, brother? Like before he loses to somebody, there's no way Bruce is going to answer. You can tell, you can see it,
bro. You look at the whole, all the time they spent on this Raw Underground and this, that, and the other thing, bro. Here's the best thing they are capable of coming out of that with. This is the best thing of all that time, wherever they go with it, whatever they do. Bro, you know what their end game is going to be? Out of that Fight Club, they're going to get one guy that's going to cross over and get in a WWE ring. That's it. That's what it is. They can't go anywhere else with that. That's where they're going to go. One guy is going to break out of that and challenge Brock Lesnar.
And then they'll stick it to you and they'll say, oh, this is what Steve Williams was supposed to be before you had him. And then they'll blame you. But this is the thing. And even with that, Vince, there was so much confusion in terms of they said it was an invasion, because at the same time you had guys throwing stuff at the speakers, and then they were all chased off by the Hurt Business. So are we to assume that the people around the ring are the same people, the Antifa people? Because if they copied, this is what they did. They watched news and then they put an Antifa faction onto TV because they saw it. But then they also advertised their invasion on their social media. They on their social media, they said, we are going to be invaded. This is 2 weeks after they turned around and said, Naomi, there's a hashtag for Naomi because we booked her to lose fake wrestling matches, and we're acknowledging that on TV. We're acknowledging our booking did not go well with people on social media. So now we are going to book her to win, and we're going to tell you about it. We're going to tell you about the hashtag, not let it go on in the background, not listen to what people are saying and then let it translate onto TV. They're going to tell you about it.
Bro, they're idiots. They're idiots. They're idiots. They're incompetent, bro. They're idiots. The breaking news, this cracked me up. And this is where I swear to God, I sit here and I'm like, bro, if you guys said this was a parody of a wrestling show, it would be over with me. That would work. If you said this is a parody show of what a wrestling show used to be and should look like, it would get over. Bro, the fact that they went to breaking news in the box, in the back with Charlie, breaking news, somebody tipped over a box. I'm like, what? Like, are you? Whatever. All right, Billy, give me your plugs, bro. Give me Dirty Sheets. Give me the locking bets. Give me it all, bro.
Yeah. Oh, there's one story I missed. It's not that important. It's just funny. Roman Reigns is completely forbidden from being mentioned on TV, even when he does something for WWE. R-Truth got him in to do his R-Truth pre-tape something with him. He's doing the R-Truth show on the WWE Network, but they don't want to mention Roman Reigns. There's no heat with Roman Reigns. They just don't want anybody to look online and see that there's somebody that actively doesn't want to be at their show.
Like if you guys really believe at this point that Roman Reigns needs you more than you need him, you're out of your effing mind. WWE needs Roman Reigns more than Roman Reigns needs him, bro.
That's a joke to me. Like, oh, we won't mention him, we won't acknowledge him because people will remember who Roman Reigns is and then go online and check who he is. That's how dumb they think their audience is. If they hear Roman Reigns, they'll be like, oh, where is he? I need to have a look. I've forgotten about that guy, and then find out that he's staying away from the pandemic. That's everything. It was a lot of stuff, but that news,
great stuff, bro. I wrote that down. I'm going to be using that stuff on my other shows. Great stuff, Billy.
All right. So, this is, I want to just plug, so thedirtysheets.com is my website. Lockbetting.com is my betting site where you can get all of my betting stuff, MLB, soccer, all that kind of stuff. The Champions League starts this week, so it's a good time to get involved with the soccer bets. And I'm on a new podcast now called the Soccer Gambling Podcast. I'm on the Sports Gambling Podcast still, but they've expanded me to 3 shows a week now moving forward. So I'm now podcasting nearly every day. So I think it's my job now. But I want to plug this, my Twitter account. So it's at DirtySheetsCom. Austin's Toys. There's more about that on YouTube. All this stuff behind me is just like a small percentage of what we have here in this. I don't know what you would call it. This house of some people's garbage. I would say it's garbage to some, but to us it's not. And it's just all this stuff. He manages to find a way to do a different figure. He's supposed to be doing it every day, so that's what he's going to try and do. Since he went on your show, he added you last week because he showed you where he fell from.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
And then he cut up a tiny little. I cut up a tiny little clip from him from the show to put on his channel. So
check out Austin's Toys, bro. Austin's great, and Billy's a great dad.
He's got
a lot of great stuff. I mean, my God, bro, you don't get those numbers and that breakdown anywhere. See, bro, that's what I said on my 60th birthday. I will never watch another 1 second of wrestling. But what I will do is I will talk about the business of wrestling. That stuff you talked about today is important. It's interesting. You make sense out of a lot of things people don't understand. Nobody else brings you that, Billy, and I want to thank you for bringing it up.
That's the thing. It all looks great, but then obviously you have to read into the follow-up questions and what they mean. I've looked at these numbers for quite a while because me and my friend Nick used to really look at them when he actually has shares with the WWE, and there's no way that you deliver that information and you only have a $3 increase on your share price. That information warrants a $8 to $10 increase on your share price and a very, very positive outlook, which obviously is the spin that WWE are trying to give. But those follow-up questions about the ratings and stuff, there is an understanding there that the network money that they're getting for these TV rights deals are holding this company together. The first renewal is in 2022 and then in 2024. But as I said, you're of the belief that they'll somehow manage to convince them to keep them.
Well, no, I don't know if they'll convince the current networks. But they will talk somebody else into giving them a sweet deal.
Yeah, we'll see, because at the moment that's the most important thing, and obviously the other thing is that we didn't actually say what you thought, but I mean, do you agree in terms of? We'll finish up now, but do you agree in terms of you see the future of TV being in one place every week? And
you're gonna wind up having to pay to watch Raw. I'm telling you, bro. That all their programming is going to be on the WWE network. You're going to have to pay to watch Raw.
Well, not that. I mean, I'm talking in the sense of the part where I said that they're now making $55 million per quarter by running in the same place, by eliminating.
No, absolutely. No, bro, they're streamlining. It's exactly what you said, Billy. They're streamlining. And again, you said this also. Maybe they are doing all this because they want to make this look as lucrative as possible for a buyer. Bro, maybe they realize everything we say is true. Maybe they realize the wrestling business is dead. We're never getting those people back. It's never. Maybe they realize that. So now from a business perspective, we need to streamline everything to make this company look as profitable as possible. I mean, all that to me makes sense, bro.
I think Performance Center or Full Sail University with fans permanently could be the direction.
It's going to be like an NW. It's going to be like the NWA. It's going to be like exactly what Corgan's doing. I mean, that's what they're going to turn this show into.
I never thought that there would be a day where it just made a lot more sense to just run your company without bothering to sell any tickets and whatnot. But obviously, these numbers are so crazy. They're not. It's not 5 and 10 million. It's 20, $30 million figures. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. When you add them up, $152 million over the course of a year. Well, Billy, bro, as always, man, thank you so much for your wisdom. Guys, Billy, we also did a little thing on YouTube that is up there now that is absolutely free. Go check out our YouTube channel. Please follow Billy on Twitter at Dirty Sheets Com, guys. Bro, for the great Billy Body, this is Vince Russo. See you later.